Hey guys, so you might be someone out there right now that's watching this, and you always find yourself going back to someone, right? You're always finding yourself going back, even though you know in your heart that this is not something that you truly want, right? And the reason I say that is because you're always thinking of the worst, right? Like you're always up late at night, right? Like you're always constantly thinking about the person in a sense that you don't know where you stand with that person, right? Like you don't know where you stand. You don't know if they really care about you. Like you're always questioning, you know, just about them, right? Like you always have questions, right? And so in the back of your mind, you feel like, you know you don't feel secure, right? Like you don't feel secure with this person, right? And so you know that's one sign right there that you know that's a sign that you should move on, right? Like that's one sign why you should move on. And this is gonna be the actual video, right? Why you should let go, right? Why you should move on. It's because they're not giving you security, right? Like they're not giving you a sense of where they stand with you. They're not giving you any sort of plan, right? Like they're not telling you, hey, this is what I'm doing, this, and this. And sometimes not just necessarily talk, right? It's also action. Like what are their actions showing you, right? Are they someone that, they're just, they just like having you around, right? Do they just enjoy, just the luxury of the convenience, I should say, of having you around, right? Like do they enjoy that, or do they see themselves having a future with you, right? Do they see themselves showing commitment, right? And so there's few signs that you should let go. And one of the signs is when they show you these when they have you questioning, right, where you stand with them. And just another thing I would also say is that sometimes we try to in our minds we try to justify, right, why we should stay, right? Like sometimes we say this person, like we come up with good reasons, right? Like we try to justify any and everything, right? Like we'll say this person, they're just having a tough time right now. They need someone there, they need support, they need love, and after that they'll change, right? I'll be the one to be that strength for them, right? I'll be the one. So we say these things, right, in the back of our minds, knowing that it's been how many years now, right? It's been years that this person is not really showing any change, right? Because honestly, someone has to show change, right? Like if they really want someone, right? Like if they really want better for themselves, and it doesn't even have to be about you, right? Like if they just want better for themselves, they have to show change, right? Like they have to show that they've changed, they're improving, they're getting better, they're working on something. Like they have to be inspiring and going towards something, right? But it's not enough to just think that you want your life to change, right? Like it's not enough. Like you have to make that commitment, right? And sometimes I also understand, and this is also some people too, they would be like, that person, they don't have anyone there, to teach them, so I'm trying to be the person who teaches them and this and that, right? And sometimes one thing that people have to understand is that sometimes life will beat a person up so much that they will feel like they have to change, right? Like like if life has beaten you up so much, you'll come to a point where you'll either be so, like you'll be on a brink of like suicide, or you'll work towards changing a life, right? It's like either or, right? And so and sometimes when it comes to the worst case scenario of like someone killing themselves, right? This is not, you know, something that, you know, you can prevent, right? Like you cannot prevent, or you cannot be that person that stops someone from harming themselves, right? Like, yeah, you know, you can, you know, try to give that person support, you know, you can try to, you know, be there for them, and that's a separate thing, right? But here I'm speaking on you investing, right, your emotions into a person, right? Thinking that you're actually supporting them, right? When actually I believe you're actually hurting them, right? Because, you know, you cannot do anything for that person, in the sense that, you know, you cannot be the committed, in your mind, you can't be the one to commit to someone and they're not committing to you, right? And so where are you really helping that person, right? The person is not wanting commitment, you know, they're not showing commitment. If you bring up commitment, you know, they'll come up with excuses, or, you know, they'll say other things, you know, there's this. So it's like that person, you know, they have to be the one, right, to go back. They have to be the one to really want that change, right? Like they have to be the one to, you know, be at a low place, to where now they'll feel like, yo, I need to change my life, right? And so, and you cannot be the one to help that person, right? Yeah, you could, like I said, you can support from a distance, right? Let's say if that person doesn't have family, he doesn't have anyone, yeah, from a distance, you know, like you keeping your distance, you know, maybe through email or message, you know, tell them, hey, you know, whatever you need, in the sense that, you know, if you need like support, or if you just need a little motivation, like a push, you know, I can give you a few words of encouragement. That's enough, right? But when it comes to you actually, you know, spending time with them, you know, emotionally being invested in them, this is something that is not helping them, right? And it's surely not helping you, because, you know, in yourself, you desire one thing, where the other person's not giving you that, right? Like they're not. How can that person give you something that they themselves can't give themselves, right? Like they can't give what you're looking for to, if that makes sense. If they can't give what you're looking for to themselves, right? Like let's say, for example, love, right? You know, how do you expect them to give you love when they don't love themselves, right? Like they don't love themselves to where, you know, they start, you know, taking care of themselves, right? Like having their life in order, you know. And so, yeah, you know, I would just say, you know, you know, you can't be that God to them, right? Like you cannot, you know, be a God to them, right? God, you're basically doing God's job, right? Like if you say, you know what, you know, I'll be the one to change this person, then it's like, what's the point of God being there, right? Like what's the point of, you know, God? Like you're basically playing God's role, right? Like you're playing God's position. So, you know, yeah, you know, there's people out there, you know, that's constantly trying to change someone, right? They're constantly trying to, you know, be that savior, right? And so, you know, we end up, you know, like I said, hurting ourselves, you know, and also hurting the other person, right? And that should be enough to let go, right? Like you should ask yourself, do you want to hurt this person more, right? And that's exactly what's gonna happen when you're there, you know, and you're giving everything to this person, right? And you're not really helping that person, right? Like you're not, you know, you're giving that person everything, but, you know, they're not working for it, right? Like they're not putting in the work to better themselves, better their life, to be able to better you, right? So how do you expect, right? Like how do you expect them to now, you know, like it makes no sense, right? And so that's basically what I wanted to, you know, speak on in this video. why you should let go. Yeah, there's people out there, that are constantly holding on to things, right? Or to people, that they know, this is not, they're not getting anything from it, right? Like they're holding on, and like, and they're trying to justify to themselves why they should continue to hold on. But they even know, they have thoughts. They're like, I don't know, man. I don't know, right? And that's one thing you should take into consideration, right? The fact that you're doubting, you're having doubts, you're having doubts in regards to, their level of faith, their level of being faithful, their level of being, committed, right? And so, yeah, that's enough to let go, right? You don't want to harm someone in the process, and harm yourself too, right? Like the more you give your everything to a person, the more especially if, like I said, they're not showing any work, like they're not, working hard, they're not, leading, they're not trying to lead with, sense of responsibility, right? And so, that's just, it's unfortunate, right? It's very unfortunate, that, we sometimes we see the good in people, right? But they don't see themselves, right? Like they don't see their own worth, their own value, right? But you can't really do much, right? Besides, just reminding, right? As God just said, as God said, reminder benefits the believers, right? So, and your duty is just to convey, right? Just to remind people, right? Remind, hey, know your worth, know this, and that's all you can do, right? Leave the rest to God. Don't, devote your whole life, your energy, time, your emotions, losing yourself in the process, right? Like you never want to lose yourself in the midst of helping someone, right? And so, the best thing to do is just take a step back and, help from a distance, right? Like help that person, from a distance, give some encouraging words, share a message, a powerful message to them, just so that they can contemplate, right? They can think about the message and, possibly change their life, right? But yeah, that's all you can do. And, and that's all you should leave it at, right? Like don't go beyond, don't go beyond all that, right? But yeah, I don't wanna make this video long, but I just had this thought in my mind, so I wanna just put it out there, right? And yeah, take care, guys.